Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The Dolphins needed to send a message on Thursday Night Football to the Bills that they're ready to take over the AFC East. They didn't. Is the best quarterback in the ACC actually a Big Ten QB? Well, he was. And it needs to be Michael Penix time in Atlanta. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
The Dolphins are poised to take over, or so we thought, but the Bills have been the kings of the East for a while. They met on Thursday night, and Buffalo reminded Miami why they're still the little brother.
The Dolphins lost 31-10 to Buffalo in a game that I felt was super frustrating in the first half. This game was lost in the first half. And then you lost much more than just the game in the second half. And this was a matchup between two teams who were one team trying to change the narrative and the other team trying to continue their sustained success against an opponent. And the way the game played in the first half played like that. We'll talk about the game because I got a lot of stuff that drove me nuts with how this game was called, the decision-making and the management of this football game, some of which paralleled a lot of the same stuff that you dealt with against Jacksonville twice, going for it on fourth down at midfield. We're going to talk about it. But first we have to talk about the third quarter injury that turned this game from not just bad to worse, but bad to nightmarish, which is Tua Tagovailoa scrambling on a 4th and 4 in the red zone and lowering the shoulder on safety Damar Hamlin and ending up suffering a concussion on the play. Dolphins quickly ruled him out. He was thankfully able to walk off the field under his own power, but the concussion history with Tua Tagovailoa is well documented. And there's a lot of questions, short-term, long-term, this season, beyond, career-wise for Tua, that is going to get thrust back into all of the conversation that takes place with Tua. And unfortunately, I reflect on the play, and you feel even worse about it because it was an avoidable incident. You are the franchise quarterback. Team just gave you a big vote of confidence, right? And you're down 3 touchdowns and didn't play well before that either. I give him a lot of grace for the first interception that hit Grant Dubose right in the body. And I'm probably willing to throw some blame in the way of Robbie Chosen slipping at the top of the route on the second interception, but generally speaking, did not play well to Tagovailoa before the injury. It's week 2. It's a long season. And to drop the shoulder on a defender with the history that you have as the quarterback is just a bummer because it's an avoidable situation. Didn't have to play out like that. And unfortunately it did. And it's the sobering reminder of the history that Tua was trying to put behind him and the Dolphins were trying to put behind them as they worked towards a more stable future together. And now I don't know, and there's a lot of questions. Obviously, the most important thing is Tua Tagovailoa's health. Football is secondary. But this was someone who alluded to the idea of retirement at one point in 2022. And now another concussion that, frankly, seemed like a fairly innocent hit, but that's the part of it that really jolts you, I think. Is he drops the shoulder and takes a blow to the head in the process. and is quickly ruled out. From a football perspective, this could not be worse for Miami. Teron Armstead suffers a shoulder injury. Jeff Wilson suffers an oblique injury. Tua Tagovailoa suffers a concussion. Obviously, you have a short week or a short week to play this game. This is the second time Tua's had a concussion on a short week against an AFC contender. I don't think it would be responsible to expect to see him in a short-term window. What that window looks like, who knows? I know the team was exceptionally deliberate with the amount of time they took with him in 2022 when he suffered the concussion against Green Bay. This is the ultimate wrench in the grand plan. And now is not the time to say, I told you so, or could have seen this coming, or look back at the decision to pay the obviously hindsight's always 20/20, but Tua had earned the right to have a contract. And I think that's the frustrating thing, was the way that this injury happened didn't have to happen. It was avoidable. And I get you're trying to make a play. Never mind you're 2 yards past the first down marker when you take the hit. Get it? You're trying to energize your guys, but football is a physical game. And as the franchise quarterback who has the kind of injury history that you have, this is a very difficult reminder of the restrictions that are on you as a player. Easily avoidable feels like it was the theme of the entire game. And a lot of it not acceptable for playing a game against an opponent that wants to turn this into a 12-round fight. Team that is willing to go the distance and slug it out and play defense, and a renewed commitment to running the ball with Joe Brady, and they are going to methodically play their game. And they know if we have to put our foot on the gas pedal, we can. And the Dolphins in the first half tried to turn this into a freaking third-round knockout. And every time you do this, when you play the Buffalo Bills, you lose by multiple touchdowns. I don't understand what's so hard about this. Why on earth are you going for it on fourth down? Buffalo, to that point in the game, if you don't remember what exchange I'm talking about, the Dolphins turned it over on downs, down 10 points, 17-7. They went 5 plays, 19 yards, made it to the Buffalo 45 and went for it on 4th and 2. They had 3rd and 1, got stuffed after several 3rd and short conversions. Ran a same variation of the same play on the 3rd and 1 and got stuffed, and then went for it on 4th and 2, and 2 is sacked for -6 yards. Ed Oliver runs through Robert Jones. You turn the ball over on downs, you have a 1-play touchdown for 49 yards afterwards, but you're down 17-7. How did Buffalo get their points? Well, you threw an interception on your opening possession, and they started at the 37-yard line and scored a touchdown in 6 plays. Then you threw an interception, and the Bills went 7 plays and 19 yards and kicked a field goal. And then they finally drove 85 yards the length of the field to make it from 10-7 to 17-7. And you went for it on 4th down in the first half, down 10 points with a chance to pin them back inside the 10-yard line and force them to drive the full length of the field for a second time. They did it twice against Jacksonville, and they didn't get it either time. You have to stop giving teams short fields.
Stay up to date on the Miami Dolphins all year long by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Dolphins on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On Sports Today your first listen. Coming up, is Kyle McCord in Syracuse the best quarterback in the ACC? Before we get to that, why the Bengals receivers are talking. Game Time makes getting to the ballpark even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the free app and new users can get $20 off their first purchase with code Locked On. Terms apply. That's code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. T. Higgins is miffed by accusations that he's faking an injury, and Jamar Chase says the Bengals are the team to beat in the AFC. Higgins is trending toward not playing in the Bengals Week 2 matchup against the Chiefs as he deals with a hamstring injury. Some Bengals fans in Cincinnati are suggesting he's faking it. Higgins said of these bizarre accusations, "I just don't understand why fans think I'm faking an injury when for me to get an extension for a contract, the deadline is over." Meanwhile, Chase wants all the smoke, even though the Bengals laid an egg against the Patriots in Week 1. Chase said of the Sunday's game, "It's not if, we are the team to beat in the AFC, and we know it. We got to play like it too." I guess we'll see. Russell Wilson says he is closer and closer to being ready to play as he returns from a calf injury.
Yeah, I was, mentally and physically just trying to get there, to go through the whole process. Yeah, I really felt. Coach and I talked on Sunday, we felt like it wasn't ready yet, trying to be smart. And so that, yeah, I think it was a smart decision, in terms of we got confidence in our football team. That's a great thing about our team. We got a great defense. We got great special teams. And offensively, we can do some really special things as well. So, I thought that was a huge win for us. The best part about that game is just running out in the Steelers uniform and just seeing the yellow towels everywhere. That was pretty cool.
Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Fresno State will join the Pac-12 in the 2026-2027 academic year. They announced on Thursday. There may be a big obstacle for others to make the move, though, as Locked On Big 12 host Drake Toll tells Locked On College Football host Spencer McGoughlin.
Remains is part of a contract that has a $10 million per school clause for every team that leaves the Mountain West, the Pac-12. So the Mountain West saw this coming and said, hey,
it's a poaching fee is what it is.
If you want our schools, if that's the long term for the Pac-12, cool, come do it at a $10 million price tag so that we can rebuild. That price tag, Spencer, might be enough to convince New Mexico and Wyoming and Air Force to stay put in the Mountain West and try to let them put things together when you talk about, hey, long term, we, the Mountain West, can give you stability compared to this new up-and-coming Pac-12 that might not make it off the ground, doesn't have a TV deal, and you have no real technical stability. However, I do believe schools like Air Force or Wyoming, or you could dip down and find yourself in Las Vegas with UNLV, should be at the top of this list.
Kyle McCord never found a groove at Ohio State and now might be the best quarterback in the ACC at Syracuse. Locked On ACC Squad is our new weekly show where a group of our ACC hosts get together to rank, smack talk, and just talk football, led by Locked On ACC host Alex Dunno and Kenton Gibbs.
All right, everyone. We're going to do a little exercise here. We're going to do a blind resume. How's that sound? Everyone excited? Cool.
No.
We're going to talk about this. I know you're not excited, okay? 14 starts this player has made in the last 2 seasons. And in those 14 starts, he's got 3,900 yards.
Kyle McCord.
He's got 32 passing touchdowns. He's got only 7 interceptions and a completion rate of about 67%, and his record is 13-1.
Caleb
I know
Williams.
it's not DJ Uyunglele.
That is correct. It is not him. It is actually Kyle McCord, who is him. So, Kenton, you're not a believer in Kyle McCord. Neither is Brian. No. Guys, this is now 14 games. How much longer until we finally give Kyle McCord his props? I think he's pretty good. I just gave you the numbers.
I'll own that he is better than I expected. I 1,000% own that. I 1,000% see, and this is what Donna was talking about with the eating crow, because I'm pulling out my little knife, I'm pulling out my little fork, take it back to DPS. I got the spork on him, and I got to eat my crow. I'll take it. Am I ready to say he's him? Am I ready to say, hey, this is your ACC Player of the Year or even in contention for that? I'm not certain. I'm not certain that he's that level of guy yet. He looked good against the mighty Ohio Bobcats, and he looked great last weekend against Georgia Tech. I'll give him that. But 2 games, a really good player does not make. And those stats are very interesting when you leave out the context of playing with a top 4 draft pick.
Wait. The last 2 games, he's thrown for nearly 800 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And unless I'm nuts here, I don't think there's anyone on Syracuse, weapons-wise, that's going to be a top 4 pick.
Maybe not top 4, but Oronde Gadsden.
I was about to say, Oronde Gadsden ain't going to have to wait long in the green room. He ain't going to have to wait long.
Yeah, no. Gadsden's really good.
He's not Will Levis hanging out till night 2.
Hello. But you know what, Jack? In the words of Boss Man D-Lo, you did a lot of working just to talk your stuff. So I'm gonna let you talk your stuff because Fred Brown showed up. I'm sick of the orange teams right now. I'm sick of all the orange teams. I don't want to hear about no more orange. I don't want to hear about Clemson. I don't want to hear about Syracuse. I don't want to hear about Tennessee. But I got to do it. So I give you your love. More power to you. Syracuse is looking legit through 2 games.
Stay up to date all year on the ACC by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On ACC Squad on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, it should be Michael Penix time in Atlanta. The Atlanta Falcons got a very lackluster performance from Kirk Cousins in week 1. Tyler Rowland, the madman on Locked On NFL, says it's time to put in Michael Penix, and Luke Braun has a very good reason as to why he's right.
He's uncomfortable with it. That's the big thing. He's uncomfortable with it. So making him do something that is new to him while also still looking a little stiff in the legs and not at all what he's been good at for the last 12 years, utterly insane to me. I cannot fathom what Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson are doing over there. And that feels like that footwork change isn't something you do game to game. I've never seen that. Quarterbacks are right foot back or left foot back basically always, and the pros and cons of those are more controversial than you would expect. But whatever you do, and that is the comfort that you get into. That's your swing. That's your rhythm. So to try to change that rhythm on the fly, to try to change it back now, it might be too late. And so I don't know where the Falcons go from here.
And they need to hurry. We talk about Cousins zoomed in, but as a team, the Atlanta Falcons don't have the time to wait for this all to work out or wait for Kirk Cousins to get healthier. The reason that they went out and got Raheem Morris and the reason that they made changes away from Arthur Smith is because being in the middle wasn't good enough and they need something to put them over the top. So they go out and they get Kirk Cousins. They bring in a bunch of pieces. They're pushing in to win now. And to lose that game in week 1 the way that they did with all of the Kirk Cousins stuff that we've talked about, to me, it's unacceptable. And they need to make a decision here of, are they going to wait for this to happen and potentially risk ending up 7-10 again, just like Arthur Smith? Or are they going to go with who's the best quarterback right now, which I believe is Michael Penix? And not only do you get better quarterback play and a more open offense because you're not limited by the quarterback's previous injury, but you also start developing your young guy, which clearly they went out and got him for a reason because they think he's the quarterback of the future. So to me, it kind of gives you multiple options to have positive outcomes. And then when Kirk Cousins is healthy, if Penix isn't doing well, you could just go back and say, hey, it was a health thing, not a performance thing. And then you don't put Michael Penix on the bench for a benching. It's just, hey,
right. You say, we got you a couple games and then we're good.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that would be the right move. Go with Michael Penix. But
look, if anyone knows about Kirk Cousins' limitations, it's Luke Braun and Locked On Vikings. And it's hard to disagree. They drafted Michael Penix for a reason. They see him as being able to handle this version of the offense. But when I look at this version of the offense, I'm not starting with the problems at quarterback. That was not, to me, the problem on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was a structure that was totally out of whack. They were predictable by formation. They did not do any under center play action, which is where Kirk Cousins thrives. Is that because Kirk doesn't want to do it? Because he can't move? And if that's true, if he can't run the offense because physically he's unable to do it, then you just have to get someone else in there. The problem is they already started down this path. They had the get out of jail free card. Kirk Cousins is recovering from an Achilles injury and didn't play in the preseason. They could have said, he's not ready to go. We're going to play Michael Penix until he is. They biffed it. If they had to change the offense this much because he can't move, they made their mistake by not playing Michael Penix from the start. I'm worried that the bigger problem is actually that Kirk Cousins is good to go, or at least as good to go as he can be. And this new coaching staff just isn't going to cut it. And finally, the apprentice becomes the master, or, something like that. Former Milwaukee Bucks player Junior Bridgman is about to become a Milwaukee Bucks owner. Bridgman, the current owner of Ebony and Jet magazines, is getting a preferred limited partner discount of 15%, or a $3.4 billion valuation, to buy a portion of the team that he played for from 1975 to 1984, according to reports. Bridgman has built his personal net worth up to $600 million after finding success in a variety of businesses ranging from fast food chains to being a Coca-Cola bottling distributor. From NBA player to NBA owner of the same team. An incredibly cool story. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up on the next Locked On Sports Today, will the Chiefs begin the year 2-0? So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.